Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Up Speakeasy. I know these are more far and in between, but we're doing something special for this round. I'm interviewing as many comics as I can from the Mobile Comedy Festival, and we're trying to get some ticket sales up and introducing some of the performers that are performing with me there. So I'm really excited. So without further ado, welcome Andrew to the show. Hey Andrew, how
Thanks
are
for
you?
having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Looking forward to interviewing you about comedy. So
Yes, fire away.
awesome stuff. So you're an up and coming stand storytelling comic from New Orleans or New Orleans and now you call Fairhope, Alabama home. So what was it
Yeah.
like growing up in New Orleans?
Well, I didn't actually grow up there. That's been my home as an adult, and it was one of those places that when I got there, I guess I grew up in a different way. I didn't grow up as a child there, but I grew up just kind of as a human being in New Orleans, and it's just one of the most accepting cities I've ever lived in, ever been a part of, and it's one of those places that's always just going to be home. No matter where I am, New Orleans is always going to be home.
Man, that's awesome. I've never been, but I've always wanted to go. So when I
You
move
need
back to
to check it out.
Colorado, I'll pass through there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's worth checking out. I promise you'll love it.
Awesome. And there's a great hip hop scene. So I grew up with like Cash
Yes.
Money and No Limit back in the day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And so we have some viewers in the audience. So if you're more than welcome to jump into the comments section and we'll interact with you, but be nice
Sweet.
to us and we'll help out.
Yeah, please be kind. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. And so I'm a storytelling comic too. And so I love that kind of comedy. It's like, you take them on a journey and you get to tell them what you're all
Yes.
about. And like topical humor is like not my thing. Like I'm really bad at that. So
Right. Same.
indeed, most definitely. And so, and you're also, uh you started stand up at 41 years old, and so um why so late in life? I started late too, so
Uh, it's one of those things that I look at it and I go, why did I start so late? But looking back at my life, I just always was trying to figure out the safe approach and trying to find, guarantee ways to, be happy and make money. And I forced myself to do all these things I thought were best or safe, and I only was fooling myself. And then as I'm unwinding my last little bit of corporate America, it's like I got to do this. I've put it off, I've ignored it, and now's the time. Hit the ground running, and I started doing it 2 years ago, not knowing obviously that the world was going to be upended by COVID, and it was just one of those things. I got the training wheels off, and I was so excited. And then my appendix burst on in January of 2020, and so I started out in the hospital. And then my wife and I were just getting ready to get back to life, and all of a sudden, the world shut down, and I went, well, wait a minute. I finally realized what I want to do. I finally realized I'm pursuing my dream, and everything just came screeching to a halt. So I started making some videos, doing things to occupy myself, entertain myself. It was one of those things I just had to get it out. I'd always kept it so bottled up, and then and I know you know this, once you let it out, you have to keep going. You don't want to suppress it. So I just made little videos. I probably drove my wife and dogs crazy, and then things started gradually opening back up, and got back on the mics, and have been having fun ever since.
indeed comedy is really addicting. I found that out for sure,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and every mile is worth it, it's
Yeah. Yes. Every step forward, no matter how small, I've learned, it's at least it's a step forward. So even if you're not taking these monumental steps every day during like the pandemic, as long as you're moving forward, that's important. And so I've tried to keep that frame of mind through all this, to say just keep your eye on the goal, and just keep working it.
absolutely, and trust the process too, so
Yes. Yes. I love that.
absolutely, most definitely. And yeah, I started when I was 30, like 8 years ago, and it was just like, man, I don't know what I got myself into, but it's just so much fun just saying really
Yes.
dirty things and getting away with it.
Yes, you get to say the things you never really thought you could say out loud, maybe. And most comedy scenes are so accepting, and so it's a I mean, it's a family. No matter where you are, you say you're a stand-up. You say you know, is there a mic open in this city or this town that you're in? And everybody just says, "Here, come on in. We'll help you. We'll you know, be a part of your extended family." And it's a beautiful thing.
Most definitely. Amber Coley jumped in and says, "Hi everyone. This is an awesome platform and idea. We are so excited Andrew is finally chasing his dream and just hopes he remembers us little people."
That is very sweet and very kind. But yeah, that Amber, she's family. So yeah, I look at the family that's been a part of this journey so far, and the support that they've given me. I mean, they show up. They listen. Like my wife listens to. Hey, what do you think about this joke? I mean, you know, it's just one of those things that having that support and them saying, you know what, you're not crazy to do this, because there's a lot of people that are going, you sure you want to do comedy at 40 something? And I'm going, well, yeah, I do. And then, you know, you got this side of the family going, well, of course, what took you so long? So it's, I'm glad Amber's out there. Hi, Amber.
Indeed. And that's the cool thing about family. Like I took took my parents out to go see me do stand up once, and they were like, "We just don't get it, but we'll support you 100%." So it's like it's
That's
fantastic.
all you can ask for. Yeah, that's
Yep,
all you can ask for.
most definitely. And so yeah, the whole pandemic thing, I was like, man, when it got me stuck at home, that's when I started the stand up speakeasy. I'm like, I gotta talk to comics. Like, I miss networking. I miss talking out off the stage with them. And it's just like we might as well go virtual with it and all that
Yep.
stuff.
I'm impressed that you did that. I'm glad you got it off the ground, because you're right. You you have this group of people you want to reach out to and connect with, and then you're sitting at home and you're going, my family's gone, you know, kind of thing. You kind of feel like you lost part of your community. Um, and so, yeah, this is a great setup, and I'm really appreciative to be a part of it.
Likewise, Andrew, I'm honored and blessed that you're a part of the Stand
Thank
Up
you.
Speakeasy family now. So it's pretty awesome.
Yes, I love it.
Indeed. And so we're raising funds for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. And why did you pick those fine folks to raise funds for this episode?
Well, 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with MS, and it was one of those things that threw me for a loop. You know, I was in the corporate America, and I actually started a music business because I was so unhappy in corporate America. I was trying to get into the arts and entertainment, and I drove myself into the ground. I was not taking care of myself, and I got diagnosed with MS the end of 2010, and my life just went upside down. And it's one of those things that when the MS is behaving, it's not bad. You know, you can look at me. You don't. I don't look like there's something wrong with me. But when this thing rears its ugly head, it does different things to different people. And so the National MS Society, they do great work. They really reach out to people like myself and so many others that are dealing with this every day, and try to make it a little more manageable and a little more easy to deal with. So that's why I chose them. Very personal.
Most definitely. And the link donate is right beneath the description box below. And so you can just click on it and donate and
Awesome.
all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And hope we raise a lot of funds for those folks.
Thank
And
you. I do too.
hopefully raise a lot of funds for Andrew too, because his PayPal is scrolling on the bottom too.
Cool.
So,
I go ahead and load them up. I'll take whatever gifts you all got out there. I am very grateful for and appreciative for.
awesome. And so there's a lot of Netflix specials that are out now that I don't have Netflix myself or any of those streaming services. I just watch my stand up on YouTube because I love
Okay.
free stuff and little clips instead of like long hours, you know. So is that your next goal in stand up?
It really is. You know, it's one of those things that I really appreciate what Netflix has done, because you have the big names. You know, you have the Chappelles and the Kevin Harts and the Amy Schumers, and you think, well, of course they're going to be they're going to draw viewers in because look at what they've done. But then you've got these shows that they do where comics will do 15-minute sets, or you'll have some that'll do 30-minute sets on different shows that Netflix specifically is streaming. And you think, these are not household name comics yet, but they're giving them an opportunity to do 15 minutes and from various parts of the country. So you get the good chance to really see where comedy is hot right now, and you get to see these people that you wouldn't know about if it weren't for Netflix, or if you did, unless you lived in the city that they're from. So I want to start and get to that level where I could do the 15-minute piece on the stand-ups. It's called the stand-ups. Go figure. Show that they do, and then from there, the ultimate goal would be to. I'd love to be able to do a Netflix, hour special, and then. One of the things that's near and dear to my heart, and you mentioned, this is part of your life too, is sketch comedy. And I love doing sketches, and I love seeing that. And Netflix, what they've done with Eliza Schlesinger, she's got her own sketch show on there now, and she's getting to use all the creativity, her comedic creativity, and that seems like the perfect recipe for what I want out of my life in the world of comedy, for sure.
Most definitely, indeed, and it's pretty neat to like see those different forms of comedy coming together, and we'll jump right
Yes.
into that because like my next set of questions is I usually ask all the comics that I've interviewed. Before the pandemic hit, I had my camera and went guerrilla style and interviewed a bunch of comics in Florida as much as I could, and it's been sprinkled in some famous ones too on my YouTube channel.
Nice.
But these are the questions I wanted to ask you because I was hoping to go on tour along the Central Time Zone, but the pandemic hit and I couldn't go anywhere, and that's how I started stand up speakeasy. So with that being said, Andrew, what inspired you to perform stand up comedy?
It's one of those things that I've always been a fan of comics like Robin Williams and Steve Martin and Rodney Dangerfield, and it was one of those things that I'm always telling stories to anybody that would listen. I was just, hey, we go out to dinner, we go out, have drinks. I'm telling stories, and I love to be telling stories. That's like where I get excited. And I started thinking about my life, and I thought, you know what? People laugh when I'm telling these stories, and and the laughter to me is it's like medicine, man. It's just you hear people laughing, and it's like just good for the soul. We don't have enough of that in the world. So I just said, you know what? You've been trying to dance around this thing for a long time. I was, God, 25 years ago, or 20 years ago, I was a news anchor. I was a radio jock for a few years. And the greatest thing about radio was you could be who you were. On TV, you had to look a certain way and be a certain way. And so as the years went on, I started thinking, you know what? Radio was just a cool way to do things, but I don't want to stop talking when the song comes on. I want to keep talking. So I just decided, you know what, let's rip the Band-Aid off, found an open mic night, and it was home. I mean, that's just one of those things that you get on stage that first time and I'm going, oh, wow, how have I managed to not be a part of this more in my life? Because to me, it's the greatest feeling in the world to be standing up there. I really think what we do as stand-ups, we do what people try to avoid. They don't want people laughing at them. And our whole thing is we want you to laugh at us. We hope we have good enough stuff for you to laugh at. And it's just I've been blessed to be able to do this. And I'm excited to see, what the future holds for me, for sure.
Absolutely, indeed, and that's what I majored in was communications, and so they gave us radio and TV and all that stuff, and I remember we had to be like a DJ, and my DJ name was DJ Livewire.
I like it.
And like we had to make a mix of all the songs that it like inspired us, and so I made a mix of nothing but live performances. And so there was like everyone from like Sasha from like his Sasha and John Digweed to like POD to Tool to like all these people, and there's like no curse words through the entire CD. And I was like, and my teacher like loved it. I'm like, this is so
nice.
awesome.
Yeah, I remember doing those things. Like you're naming this up. I'm going, yep, that's what we did all that. It was just, and it was fun. You got to be creative in a different way, which I think it's one of those things. For me, I know that any type of creative project, it inspires other aspects of my creative world. So I might be working on, I write poetry, and it's not funny poetry. That's kind of how I feel like that's where the demons come out, is in the poems, And so, but it's like that inspires me. Then, oh, wait a minute, now I've cleared that out. Let me go work on a new bit that I'm trying to get perfected or something. So yeah, anytime you're doing anything creative, it just seems to like light a match and just it just goes.
Most definitely. And Devin Freeze, I believe that's is how to pronounce it. He says, "One of the little people here. I'm just happy to be used for your jokes." So it's awesome.
I'm happy to have him to use for the jokes. I love it. That's family. That's another family right there, and they're so gracious that his it works in one of the jokes I do, and I take his name and I say it how it is, and then I say it in a really weird, funny way to basically develop a new character. And I thought his name works perfectly, but I hope he's okay with I hope he's okay with it. And so, but it's one of those things, you don't ask for permission, you ask for forgiveness. So I got on stage and I did it, and he was in the audience and he was laughing, and I'm like, okay, good. I'm glad I didn't mess that up. But they're to have that support. It goes back to that support. They just, whatever I need to inspire creativity, they're game, and they're amazing, and I can't thank them enough.
Awesome, fantastic. And Crazy Conscious Relationships jumped in and said, "Hi guys, this is fantastic. Love the show. Can't wait to meet you in person, Sreth. We are so excited for Andrew to be on your show. Thanks for being such a great supporter, Andrew's wife."
Oh yeah, yes. I was like that channel sounds familiar. Wait a minute. Yeah, my wife. You don't have enough time for me to talk about all the amazing things that she's done for me, and just the support. She's who I bounce every single joke off of. I mean, and not every joke's funny, and she'll be the first one to say, that's not really funny. She's not trying to make me feel better. She'll say, wait a minute, that's not funny. And I'll go, oh, well, okay. Or she'll say, well, what do you think about maybe you should develop this angle more than this angle? And it just rewires some things. And then outside of comedy, man, like I said, I could go on for days about the love and support that she's given me through the MS, through the job challenges, through the life challenges. She's the rock. She's what keeps me going on in this world. And I told her that's what I want to do, and she said, well, okay. It wasn't like there was no part of it where she said, well, maybe we should look at something else, or maybe we should think about, maybe you should try to do this or that, something that makes stable money. And she was like, no, that's where you belong, so go do it. And I said, all right, here I go. So that's yeah, I got an amazing support staff that I can't thank enough.
That's so awesome. And I look forward to meeting you too, Andrew's wife, when we
Yeah.
go to the Mobile Comedy Festival, which reminds me, tickets are below, and just click on those links. And so come out and support us. And it's going to be so much fun
It's gonna be
next
awesome.
week. So
Yeah, it's a week of comedy. It's like you don't see that in a lot of places. Especially, I mean, Mobile's a good town, and they're really doing a lot, and they have a good comedy scene. And so you think, okay, you're gonna have a week of comedy with people from all around, from the Mobile area and then the Gulf Coast and around the state. And like all these comics are coming out here. I mean, they're dedicated to this, and this is what we all want to do, And it's I heard someone say once, nobody has a monopoly on a dream. So we all can make it, It's like and I love that about the comedy world, support each other. If you're successful, that doesn't mean I can't be successful, or vice versa, So it's going to be 32 comics in this thing. That's awesome.
indeed, most definitely. And Crazy Conscious Relationship says, "My name is Tanya, by the way. Expect a hug." So we'll wear a mask if we need to, but we'll hug.
Yes, yes, she gives good hugs. So yeah.
Awesome. And so, Andrew, what was it feeling like when you first performed stand up?
It felt like I came home. It was like I told my wife shortly after that. I said, you know what? I'm not on stage because I want to do this. I'm on stage because I feel like I have to do this. This is it's something that I feel like it's a part of who I am. So it just felt like I came home. You get up there, you get that mic in your hand, and you see the people in the crowd, and and not every joke hits. I mean, sometimes people are going to look at you like, oh, okay, that wasn't too funny, and it's just like, you're just making me a better comic, because I need to either rework the joke, or I need to ditch the joke completely, but it's just, I don't know. I don't view it as judgment. Like a lot of people are like, I can't believe you let those people judge you. And it's like, no, like there's such a connection because they want to come to a place and laugh. And I want to help make that happen. So it just, yeah, it felt like, I don't know why I haven't been doing this a lot longer.
Most definitely. And we talked. You spoke of Robin Williams earlier, and I love his comedy specials and whatnot. And there's a bunch of. Yeah, we talked about Netflix specials earlier too. And
Yeah.
what are some of your favorite comedy specials and comedy record albums?
Oh, wow. Robin Williams, you can pretty much give me anything he's done, and I will listen to it and laugh just as hard this time as I did the other 100 times that I've listened to it. Um, Steve Martin, he's somebody that I discovered as a stand-up comic a little bit later in life. I loved his movies, and he's an amazing writer, play actor, and I thought when I dove into his stand-up, I'm like, this is interesting. This is one of those things that it may not work in 2021, but he kind of he I don't know, he helped ignite a lot of the stand-up comics like the Robin Williams of the world, and it just I feel like a kindred spirit to Steve Martin because it's just we don't have the same style of comedy, but he's like just one of those people that just he gets it, you know. So I do like that. Jim Carrey is one that I prefer more actually in sketch comedy than I do in stand-up, but I can watch him on In Living Color, or I can watch him for hours, just mesmerized at the way his brain works and the excitement that he has in every character he plays, like very similar to Robin Williams. And Richard Pryor, I mean, he set the tone. And George Carlin, these are like kind of the iconic comics that kind of just have the foundation for people like us to get out there and say the things we want to say and not be afraid to say it. They broke some mold I can't imagine doing that 40 years ago. And they did it. They weren't scared to do it. So I appreciate that. So those handful are ones that I really. Eliza Schlesinger, she has a couple of things on Netflix that I'm really into. Let's see, Nikki Glazer. I think she's phenomenally talented, and I've watched a few of her specials, and she's just makes me laugh, And Dan Cummins, he's a comic that I've been a fan of for a long time, and did a comedy show, benefit show 13, 14 years ago. And he was one of the comics. And I was so excited. And we get there that night, and I'm like, okay, Dan, you ready? There was like 15 people in the crowd. And I just went, no, he's really good. What? I took the full responsibility because it was in my town, and I didn't promote it very well. And I'll never forget the humility that he had. I said, I am so sorry. I wanted more people here. And I had t-shirts made, and he signed the back of my t-shirt. He said, to Andrew, one day we'll do this again and we'll do it right. And it was just like, there was no anger or frustration. He was just like, yeah, sometimes that's what happens in comedy, and that's okay. So I've always carried that with me since then. When I started doing stand-up, you can't let those nights that are a little tougher break you. You got to keep going forward.
Absolutely. And it's so true what you said. Like, and I got to interview Dan Cummins when he was in Jacksonville.
I watched that. Yes.
Awesome. Fantastic. He's such a great fella. And like, I prefer, for some odd reason, like I performed in front of sold out crowds, and then I always close at the mic in Daytona Beach, and there's only like 5 people there when I'm up there on stage in Daytona, and I prefer that over a sold out crowd for some reason, just because they're focused on you and they're just ready to laugh. And though if it's sold out, it's like it takes forever for the laughs to pass, and I don't have time for this, even though you do, but it's like, come on, people, these laughs need to hurry it up. So,
right.
But it's like a wave, it's just insane. But and Robin Williams, I saw his set list with Stand Up Without a Net. Have you seen that one?
I have. I haven't seen it recently though. So yeah, thanks for the reminder on that.
Indeed, I have a show called a High End Comedy Show that I produce, and it's just like that. You just pick out two random topics, and you got to rip for 5 minutes, and hopefully and the purpose is for you to bomb, but it's fantastic.
That sounds like so much fun.
Indeed, and I love when people actually swim instead of sink because it's magical. It's just
Yes.
like you can pull a set out of nowhere. It's amazing.
Yes.
Um, And we've talked about Jim Carrey earlier, about In Living Color, and that was like one of my favorites. I loved watching the Dirty Dozens when like Ed O'Neill was on there with
Oh
Jamie
yeah.
Foxx. It was fantastic. And
Yep.
what are some of your other favorite sitcom sketch shows and comedy films?
Ooh. It's Saturday Night Live is iconic, and they go through these ebbs and flows where they might be funny, they might be not so funny. But lately, I've just been impressed with some of the people that are on SNL. But I look at like sitcoms, Modern Family. That show to me was so brilliantly written, and they let their actors. Anytime you give the actor, especially a comedy actor, the freedom to just improvise. I mean, that to me is magic, and to see that talented group of actors do that was just it was unprecedented to me. There's a lot of shows I liked over the years, but that was one that I just went. I don't know that everyone, or I don't know that I truly realized how great this show is from all aspects. And then whose line is it anyway? I watched that show over and over and over, and it's on HBO Max now. And going way back to Drew Carey, and I'll sit there when I don't have anything to do, or if I just need a pick me up, and I will watch these old episodes, and I will laugh just as hard, if not harder, because I'll pick up something that I missed, 15 years ago, and I just love it. And the fact that people like Colin Mockery and Ryan Stiles and Wayne Brady, they're still doing Whose Line, so they have kept, especially people like Colin Mockery, he's kept improvisation alive, and that's something that I don't know that people really understand how hard that is.
Most definitely, indeed. And I love Wayne Brady. Like I loved him on the Chappelle Show and
Yes.
that whole
Yeah.
skit.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And also favorite comedy films.
Oh wow. Oh boy. Um, I love The Jerk, Steve Martin. That goes back a ways. Oh man, that's a Good Morning Vietnam is one of my favorites. I just love it. Father of the Bride. It's people say it's more for women or something. And I'm like, no, Steve Martin's doing what he does, and it's fun to see him play those roles. Um, let's see, Ace Ventura. Just the absurdity of some of what Jim Carrey's movies are, and you go, what he had to do to make it that absurd, the amount of talent that a person has to have to come across that off the wall, but somehow bring it all together is just it's awe inspiring for me. I just go, how does your mind work that way? So those are kind of the ones that I would go to if I needed a pick me up or wanted to have a trip down memory lane. Good Morning Vietnam is probably the first one I would throw on there and just say, let Robin Williams entertain me.
Indeed. I remember watching that with my dad, and it's just like way when it came out, and it was like,
Yeah,
man, this is good stuff.
yeah, you
That
knew it. Yeah, you knew it even when you were young that was something special. Yeah,
that shows how old I am because I'm like, but Asians don't raisin. I get that a lot.
I love that. So I love it. That's really funny.
My buddies go, we can't tell whether you're an 18-year-old or if you're a 500-year-old shaman. It's just
Go with whatever you're in the mood for. Yeah, I love it.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
so, if you can go on tour with any comedian locally and internationally known, which comedians would you like to go on tour with?
Oh wow, that's a great question. Hmm. Nationally, I would probably say right now, Brent Morin. I just like what he does, but that would be somebody. I don't know how well known he is nationally, but Eliza Schlesinger. I feel like our styles are similar, and I feel like we could vibe, and I think we have a good rapport on our comedic styles locally. And I'm gonna call out somebody that's in the competition. So hopefully this doesn't cost me votes and get her more votes. But Delicia Nicholas, she's just funny. She is just funny, and I started a comedy extravaganza at a local venue in Fairhope, and she was on the bill that first night we did it, and I was like watching her going, you belong on. Every comic we had was just fantastic. She just had a level of comfort that you went, I can't imagine you doing anything else, you know. And it was so I would love to do more with Delicia, because I think she is one of the very best in the area for sure.
Indeed, and I interviewed her for the stand-up speakeasy. I'm not sure if you saw the episode, but
I haven't seen that one. I'll
oh
find it.
man, and for her to be like fairly new, it's amazing. And it's
Yeah,
just when I interviewed her back then, it was like, but she was a joy to talk to, and I
I
can't
can
wait to see
imagine.
her in person. If I hopefully, because I only booked my Airbnb for like 2 days, so win or lose, I'm so happy to be part of the Mobile Comedy Festival, which is a friendly reminder to buy your tickets in the description box below. So go see Andrew and myself perform stand up, and if you can get roasted by five comedians, top five past and present, which comedians would you like to get roasted by?
Wow, I love that question. I would definitely wow, George Carlin, Robin Williams, Amy Schumer. I think there'd be some pretty funny dark stuff that she'd come up that she'd come up with for me. Um, Steve Martin, just because of his off the wall thought process, and Bill Burr. I liked what he's doing. I think he'd be one that would roast me in a in the most offensive, wonderful, beautiful way.
Most definitely, indeed. And where do you see your comedy journey in the next 5 years?
I hope it's going to really take off. My goal is, after the mobile comedy competition, is to really get out there and hit some more areas and start doing some of the things that I wanted to do pre-pandemic, and then I've wanted to do post-pandemic, but still doing the 9 to 5, which hopefully is coming to an end soon, and been dealing with my MS. I feel like I will be able to have a little chance to breathe and go out and really work those stages and check out these new venues, and uh, get my career really off the ground. And in 5 years, I would love to. I would love to be touring at minimum regionally, but really would like to be doing either, maybe not headline nationally. I don't think I might not be there yet, but be with a headliner that's doing a national tour, and be the opening act for them, and just help continue to build my following and try to be as funny in as many places as possible.
Indeed, and I hope you get one of those 15-minute spots on Netflix, or if not, an
I
hour
love
or
it. I hope
so.
you do too. I think we'd be great if we could do, because they take all these pictures, press pictures together. I'd love to have you up there. I think that'd be great.
I think I might be too dirty for Netflix. I might have to put two more X's at the end. So,
You may have to go to HBO Max with the
yep,
extra X over there. Yeah,
yep. We'll be Skinemax Part 2, if you
there you
will.
go. There you go. Yeah, I love it.
Indeed. I got that nickname, the cleanest, dirtiest comic in Daytona Beach, because I say really dirty things without saying any curse words. And it just, in my mind, it just wired that way. I don't know why,
That's
but
creative. That's a
yeah.
different level of. I like that. That's really cool. I'm excited to see where that goes, because that's a really cool title to have, because I don't think people understand that's not easy to do.
Nope, not at all. And I just get along the lines, but I don't cross it. It's just I'm just really conscious about it on stage. It's just
Right.
trippy. So
I
I
love it.
love it.
That's cool. That's good. That's awesome. That takes talent. That's impressive.
Thank you, Andrew. And so, we talked about sketches earlier, and you've made some sketches. Another, which other forms of comedy would you like to venture off into, like improv, comedy writing, directing, etc., acting?
Improv for sure. I've dabbled with the idea of starting an improv group locally, so I think I'm going to stop trying to talk myself out of that. I think I'm going to go ahead and pop that bubble sooner rather than later because improv, I just love it. So improv for sure. I would like to get into you know sketch comedy, but also doing a sitcom. I have an idea for a sitcom that I have worked on and developed, and I really think it has some legs. And that's something that I would like to really pursue, get my stand-up career going, and then allow that to kind of lead me into the sitcom world because it's I really just think it'd be a funny show, and I really think having a lot more recognition for who I am would help me be able to get something like that launched, and that's definitely something that I want to do on the short term, rather than wait 15 years and finally do it.
Most definitely, indeed. And uh, what experience would you like your eyes to take with them after a set has come to an end?
I want them to just have had the most amazing times. Relax. I don't talk about politics. I don't talk about social issues. And it's not because those things aren't important to me. It's because I understand that people want to laugh and they sometimes they want to get away from it. And as good as comics are to do that stuff, I just it's just not something I wanted to do. It doesn't resonate with me. I want you to come to one of my shows and just go, you know what? I didn't think about the chaos that's going on in the world right now. I tell stories about my life and what I'm dealing with, and I try to make it relatable because I think all of us age in different ways, and sometimes I take my aging, oh, no problem. And sometimes I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm exhausted from just walking up the steps. And, it's just taking those moments and going, I bet there's other people that get worn out over doing what appears to be easy things. So I want to be relatable. I want them to go, oh my God, I've done that or I've been there. So I want them to be able to leave there going, I've dealt with a lot of what he's dealing with, and I'm just glad that I'm not the only one. I want people to understand, I promise you're not the only one dealing with some of this, the headaches of getting older. It's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
Most definitely, and I don't like to put politics in my stand-up either because I notice that once I do that, it's like it divides the room,
It does.
and
Yeah.
it's such a weird feeling. I just want to bring people together and not divide them. So
Yes, that's beautifully said. Yeah, I echo that. Yeah, there's no reason the world is divided enough. I don't want to. I don't want to create more division, especially at a comedy club. That just seems like that seems sacrilegious. It just doesn't work.
most definitely, indeed. And what's your favorite joke a comic has written?
Oh wow, favorite joke comic has written. Oh, Stephen Wright. If I He wrote a joke a long time ago that he said something along the lines of, sometimes I just like to sit in the bathtub and pretend I'm a ship. And it was so dry. And it was one of those things where the way he delivered it, there was, there was nothing to it. And you go, simple, it's just the escape the reality kind of thing. And there was more to the joke. I don't remember all of it, but it was something that simple. He didn't develop anything. It was just, that moment of being in the bathtub, Stephen Wright in the bathtub, pretending to be a ship. I just thought that was brilliant, because it didn't need a lot of development. It was short and simple, and sometimes short and simple is the funniest thing.
Absolutely, indeed. And I have those one-liners that just get some, and a lot of my requests is when I do open mics now, I do my new stuff in the beginning, and then I take all my comedy friends. I'm like, hey, which request do you want to do? And then they always go for the short ones, and sometimes the lengthy ones, but they always
Right.
go for the short ones. I'm like, this just gets the audience, and I love the way you deliver it. So
Yes.
thank
Yeah,
you.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Indeed. And so for this next segment, Andrew, is it's where the stand up speakeasy, it's like a secret society of comics. And so in order to be a guest on the stand up speakeasy, you gotta be nominated, or I pick you, or you reach out, and it's how we did it in that group chat that we did.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Andrew, which comics out of Alabama, or that you've met from coast to coast, that doesn't have like that wants to be, interviewed or seen, top five, if you will. Which ones would you like to see on as a featured guest?
Um, and if I name someone that's already been on your show, I apologize, but I just know how good some of these folks are. Delicia is someone I think I would tune in to watch her again on your show. I think she's that talented. Andrew Ferreira, I think he's very talented, and he's just he's just comfortable. There's something to me about comics that are comfortable and just they just feel like they're at home. That's kind of the feeling I have when I'm on stage. It's just where you belong, and I think Andrew has that tremendously. Let's see. Olivia Searcy, she's talented. I would definitely say she would be one I would definitely tune into. Let's see who else. I'm trying to think. There was a comic I can't remember in Lafayette, Louisiana. I can't remember the name, so I will have to find out who that is, because somebody that definitely he was an older comic, and he went with he had his kind of his note cards, and he made it work. It wasn't like he'd forgotten the script. He would just use the note cards almost like he was at a lecture, and he was doing it. And I thought, that's not something I could do. I couldn't pull that off. But he did it, and it just worked. And I would definitely track him down, because I think he'd be somebody that would be very interesting to talk to. Let's see. You had Dan Cummins. I can't say enough about him. I just think he's one of the good guys in comedy. I would definitely recommend him being a part of it. And then I'll tell you somebody that's kind of famous, but not in the stand-up world. Gary Valentine. He was on King of Queens. He played Doug's Heffernan's brother, and they're brothers in real life. And he's been in a lot of movies, Adam Sandler movies and things like that. But I've seen him do stand-up, and it was like, how come I don't know more about this? He had a way about him where it was he just exuded a different level of brilliance. And I was like, man, why don't more people know about this? Why, we know you from various sitcoms and movies, but how come we don't know you from stand-up? And that would be I think it'd be so cool if somebody were to talk to him and just either jumpstart him to get back on stage, or, get people looking into him, because he's a very funny, talented individual.
Most definitely. I'll be sure to reach out to those fine folks. And I've had Olivia on the show too, and I got to meet her in person in Jacksonville. She's amazing. She's just so kind-hearted. It's great.
I will tell you one other person, Joyce Lyles. She's out of North Alabama. I love what she's doing. She got into comedy late in life, and she's really embracing it. And I think she'd be someone that would be very worth talking to.
Most definitely. I'll reach out to all those fine folks and see how many I could get on the show. Awesome. And all that good stuff. And so, and with that being said, please follow Andrew on Instagram. His Instagram handle scrolling on the bottom. It's also in the description box below, as well as his PayPal. You can donate to the National Multiple Sclerosis, and you can donate to them as well. And shout out to Amber and Devin and Tanya, aka Crazy Conscious Relationships, for joining in on the chat. Thank you so much for being a part of our audience, our live audience. That's pretty awesome of you. And yep. And is there any final words you'd like to give out to the fine folks watching at home? Or
I would just say, support local comedy. Just that it's so important. And I don't think it's not appreciated, but I don't think people understand what comics do. And, just support local comedy. Go out there, see shows, and laugh.
Most definitely. And a lot of these shows are free. And so it's, some of these famous comics are really expensive now. But
right.
Wait, you won't discover the next Kevin Hart. You'll discover the next Andrew. So it'd be pretty awesome. So
Yes.
it's going to be fantastic, and hopefully we'll see you all at the Mobile Comedy Festival. And again, tickets are below, and come see us, and it'd be great to see you in person. Hopefully we all make you laugh,
Yes.
and it's they're a great week of stand up from Todd Berry to all the locals. It's just awesome meet and greets and all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
looking forward to all those events, and thank you so much for tuning into the Stamp Speakeasy,
Yes. Thank
and
you.
thank you to Andrew for being my guest today, and you know,
Mm.
and we'll see you all on the next episode, the next Stand Up Speakeasy, and be safe, be well, and take care of each other, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
Awesome.